Hey, everybody, welcome to Hammer Down. I'm your host, Mike Bush. I'm really excited about today's guest. So, every time I shoot an episode, I ask my guests the same last question. If you were going to talk to a new or recent grad or somebody thinking about the supply chain industry, what advice would you give them? Well, today we're going the opposite direction. Today we're talking to one of those new people who is new and interested in the supply chain. His name is Baden Schrab. I met him at ASCM conference last week, and I'm delighted to have him. Baden, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, let's get right into it, man. Who are you? What do you do? Where you go? What are you studying? Where are you? All that stuff.
Yeah, so my name is Baden Schrab, and I'm currently a student at University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire. It's a small school up in North Wisconsin, and I'm currently pursuing a degree in operations and supply chain management. I'm very excited to be getting into the industry. I've had a lot of introduction into the industry, so I'm excited to be able to go to the ASM conference, but then also get into it.
Awesome. So I have this working theory that's been proven pretty well accurate that 90% of supply chain pros either one fell into it, and they will say the words fell into it directly, or they're coming from a legacy. So my mom, my dad, my aunt, my uncle, my grandpa, my grandpa, somebody in my family or close relative was in the industry. What's your story? How'd you get here?
Um, I'm in the legacy part. Yeah, my dad is in supply chain. He is the associate director of materials management at Promega. It's a biotech company in Madison,
Okay.
and I've just kind of been following in his footsteps, hoping to be as good as he is. Um, so that's kind of the route that I took, and that's how I fell into it. But then also, I did an exchange program over the summer where between my senior year of high school and my freshman year of college, and I went over to Germany, to Hamburg, and I stayed with a family, and the dad was I believe he was the global director of supply chain at Eppendorf.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. So obviously some influence here that steered you into this industry as a potential career path or as a growth path. What are the things you're most excited about? What has you like, man, I can't wait to tackle this project or that problem?
Yeah, I would say the ever growing industry. It's going to grow. It's growing as we speak right now, and it's going to continue to grow. So I think that the industry growth is kind of what excites me.
Okay.
But then also, I like the challenge of, not everything is going to go right. And I like the challenge of I'm going to be one of the people on the front lines helping to solve the issue or solve the problem. And that's, I guess, what I'm really most excited about is just kind of
Very
stepping
cool.
in and tackling it.
All right. So Baden, what year in school are you?
I am a junior.
Okay, very cool. So 2 years left. What's your perfect next step? So you're going to graduate college. Presumably, you're going to send out resumes. You'll do some internships, all of that stuff. Where do you want to end up? If we're talking 2 years from now, Hammer Down still exists by some act of God. You join the show and you're like, man, I got my first job. Here's what I'm doing. What's the perfect world answer?
I would like to be somewhere in planning. I'd like to be somewhere close to Madison. That's where I'm originally from. But I would like to be somewhere in planning. It's what my dad has been doing, and I guess just kind of following in his footsteps and planning. I'm definitely a planner. I like to have stuff laid out. So just kind of helping do that for my job as well. I would really like to go that route. I don't really have a
Got it.
specific company that I need to work for. But
Okay.
a job out of college in planning would be great for me, and that's my steps right now. It can change in 2 years.
Oh, absolutely. It will change in 2 years, 100%, but that's awesome to have like a path lined up. Um, what so obviously coming from the legacy background, that makes sense in understanding like, hey, this is a cool industry. What are the things outside of it's what my dad does that have you kind of jazzed or thinking, man, this is really, really potentially interesting for me?
So funny enough, COVID actually. I saw the impacts that COVID had on supply chain, and it kind of made me realize that supply chain makes the world go round. I mean, and I want to be that person that makes it happen. I don't want to be on the sidelines where I'm just there. I want to be making stuff happen, and I want to do stuff. So oddly enough, yeah, COVID was what kind of brought me into the industry for sure. I knew that I wanted to go into business in high school. I just didn't know where. COVID hit. I said, yeah, supply chain seems like it.
Got it.
So
Very cool. What are the things you're not worried about? That's the wrong way to phrase it. What are the things you wish you knew going in, or what are the questions you've got, or sort of the pie in the sky kind of, hey, I wonder about that type stuff
um,
that sits in the back of your head at night?
I guess kind of the day-to-day thing, I've heard, and it was prominent during the ASCM conference, of no day looks the same. If
Right.
no day looks the same, how am I going to know what I'm doing the next day? You know what I'm saying? So I think that is definitely in the back of my head, because I do like stuff to be laid out, and I know that's not going to happen with supply chain, but I'm going to work to make sure that it is. And
No, of course. It's funny, like the planner role is 60% planning and 50. Yes, it is 110% role.
yeah,
60% planning and 50% fixing the plan or helping the execution, right? Like
yeah,
you can have a world's perfect plan, but if the vessel coming into the port is 4 days late, your plan just went right out the
yeah,
window, and now it's a matter of how do we quickly get everything back
exactly.
on.
Then,
So I love that
you kind of
question.
need to backtrack and plan again. So I think, I want to know the day-to-day stuff, but at the same time, there is no day-to-day stuff.
That's true, man. So you're a college kid. I love to ask this question because at ASCM, I think the number one trend that they promoted was AI. Three of the top five trends were technology focused. It was AI, big data, and cybersecurity, all referenced. You're that next generation who grew up, with a laptop or a tablet in your hand. Where do you use AI in your day-to-day life? Like, is ChatGPT writing your papers, Ben?
It's not writing my papers, but it's definitely giving me ideas for my papers. And then also, I'll have professors that'll say, you know, you're going to need to use AI for this. Use AI, quote it. So, I mean, I use it probably almost daily. Um,
Okay.
so AI in the school fact,
Are you a ChatGPT, a Gemini guy?
I'm a,
What's
I'm a
what's your
chat
what's your
GPT
go-to?
guy. Yeah, I
Okay.
really like it. It's, pretty easy just to pull up on the computer, just a couple clicks away. Um, but then also outside of school, I've been using it. Um, for example, when I was coming to Austin, I wanted to know what are some of the best restaurants in Austin. Quick chat GPT gave me a list, and I went to a couple of those restaurants. It wasn't wrong.
Awesome. Where'd you eat?
So I went to we went to Stubbs Barbecue. That one was pretty good, and then Terry
Okay.
Black's Barbecue. We went there. It was a
Nice.
quick walk for us, and that one was really good. And then we also did Gus's Fried Chicken. That one was really good.
Got it. Nice. Yeah. Mike Lombard, who is in the industry, his parents ran Lombard Trucking, which was one of the biggest East Coast trucking companies for a bunch of years. He's now a physical trainer for drivers in the space. He lives in Austin. So at ASCM, I tweeted out, "Hey, I'm going to be here," and he was like, "No, let's catch up." The first thing he said was, "We're going to Terry Black's,"
Yeah,
and I was like, "Okay." And he said, "The second thing is, I'm going to change your life with this meal." And I think he was pretty accurate, man.
yeah,
That brisket was some of the best I've
exactly.
ever eaten.
I went with two other guys um, from our ASCM chapter in Eau Claire to Austin, and I kind of told them, I didn't ask if we were going. I told them we're going to go to Terry Black's, and you could kind of see the worry on their face. And we went, and all that worry went away, and all the faith was restored in me. So it was really, really good.
There we go, man.
Yeah,
Earning credits through barbecue. I love
exactly. Yeah.
it. So speaking of ASCM, so was that the first trade show or first kind of supply chain focused event you've been to?
Yes, sir.
What what was your impression? What was really cool? What do you wish was a little bit different?
So I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed my time. I haven't gotten into too many of my core classes quite yet. So there were a couple things where we'd be talking in one of the panels, and all of a sudden acronyms would just flow out, and I'm like, I'm retaining information, but I just missed three acronyms that I have no clue. And I do understand that it is a professional conference. There's not many students there. I think there were probably about 20 students total there,
Yep.
not just from not from our chapter, but total. And one thing that I wish they had is something for the students, like a panel where we could ask questions about the industry, and it was just kind of student focused. Because
Sure.
I'm speaking for myself, but I think I'm also kind of speaking for the group of students. Is we were a little bit intimidated by the supply chain professionals. John Melby from the Twin Cities chapter, he was rolling off acronyms, and I was definitely a little bit intimidated to ask questions. I had a couple with that, but then also having that panel would also allow us to meet other students too. So, for example, like I met another president at at Stubbs Barbecue for the little mixer after the first day, and that was really nice to meet her and exchange information and what we're doing for our clubs. So I think having something just for the students as well would be really nice.
Very cool. So you may know this. Abe Eshkenazi, who is the CEO of ASCM, was actually a guest on Hammer Down.
Yes,
I'm going to send this over to him. See if we can actually do one of these. Maybe it'll be a Hammer Down town hall style.
Yeah,
I love this.
that would be great.
I'm going to steal it from you.
At that little mixer at Stubbs Barbecue, I did run into Abe Eshkenazi, and I did talk to him, and had a good conversation with him. So it was really nice to meet him. Outside of the conference as well, because he comes out for the keynote every morning, and that's a little bit intimidating too. Seeing someone so high up,
sure.
And I'm just I'm not even out of college yet.
Right, I understood. Braden, when you said you were going to come on the podcast, were there any questions or any thoughts you had? You're like, man, I want to make sure I talk about this, or I want to make sure I hit on that.
So I think the biggest thing for me is I want to know, what can I do to get my foot in the door on the industry now? I want to get an internship this year and start working in the industry this year. What are three main things that you would do, or three big points of advice that you have for someone like me just getting into the industry?
Yeah, so love that question. First off, look, go to conferences, right? You're a student. ASCM is an amazing opportunity. To your point of, hey, there's too many acronyms, don't be afraid to ask those questions. I think that's a really important thing. There's curiosity always goes really well, and is appreciated. But more importantly, in this industry, there's way too many acronyms. There's a guy over at an analyst firm named C Intelligence named Alan Murphy. And one year, Alan hosted the TLA Awards, and TLA, of course, being three-letter acronym. And his firm had gone through bills that shippers had received and started calling steamship lines and saying, hey, we saw this line item. Can you tell me what the acronym stands for? And they gave out awards for the craziest acronym. And they gave out awards for the acronym that was being billed that nobody in the steamship could actually answer what the hell it was. So when it comes down to it, in our industry, to your point, there is a ton. We speak our own language, we really do. But some of it's made up. So I think, option number one, network as much as you can. Okay. Use LinkedIn, of course. So go to conferences, but also use LinkedIn. Every person that was at ASCM, and I know you got the app, go through it. See who are the people that really were inspiring or interesting. Ping them a note on LinkedIn, just like you did with me, because I was like, oh man, this is so cool. A kid reached out. This is awesome. Number two, don't be afraid to ask questions, because there are things that I've been in it for 20 years. I learned something almost every day. That's brand new and interesting. Number three is be ready to have a sense of humor. This industry, more than any other industry I've been a part of, really does tend to be fun if you can find the right group. And if you have a sense of humor about it, you're by default going to find the right group of people. Yeah. I was talking to, so Reed Lost-a-Lot, who was a guest a while back. He's the guy that created the Please Advise hats.
Yes.
He had this running joke that people in the industry are only friends with people in the industry because we're the only ones that know what we're talking about. Like, we don't go to a bar and talk about the football game. We talk about, hey, here's what's happening in the court.
Yeah.
So have a sense of humor and then find your tribe that way would be probably my third one, because there's a lot in this industry that's crazy. And you can either, to your point of, my day's never the same, you can either roll with the punches and enjoy the heck out of it, or you can feel like you're just beat up every single day. And I think the folks that roll with the punches are the folks that are going to be successful long term.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I really appreciate the words.
Baden, as we're talking about it, what are the things that kind of, as you're thinking about getting into the industry, what keeps you up at night?
Getting into the industry after, I did say that COVID got me into the industry. COVID also scared me.
Of course.
So I appreciate the words. Everything's not going to go to plan, and rolling with the punches. I think it's a great point.
All right. Hey, listen, Baden Schrab, I appreciate you joining the show so much, and I truly do mean it. Let's reconnect offline. Let's put together sort of an ASCM young group together, and I'll, if you can get me 3 or 4 people that want to attend it, I will find pros who will do this town hall style. You guys bring the questions. We'll work it through Abe and the whole nine. Let's make this a recurring thing.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love that. And I know I have a couple connections from the ASCM conference that are students. I could definitely get something together.
All right. I'm available for whatever you need me to. Let's make this happen.
Okay. Thank you.